Hey there, this is Andrew, and I want to cover a little bit of KeyForge news with you. We talked a little while ago about how Ghost Galaxy has acquired KeyForge and is planning to release Winds of Exchange Set 6. That's all pretty exciting stuff. They are uh, doing the initial release through Gamefound, and just in the last couple days, we got to see what one of the, I think they said 5 pledge levels is going to look like. So I want to cover that really quick, and then I want to talk a little bit about uh, just the concept of releasing through Gamefound, what I think about that. Spoiler alert, I think it's good. I think it makes sense. But I'll come back to that because you might have already thought about that, and I'll just cover the news for you first. So I'll include a link to this. But if you go to GameFound and search for KeyForge, you should be able to find this pretty easily. The campaign isn't live yet, so you can't pledge anything yet, but you can go and follow. And having followed, I believe they said it's up to 10,000 people. The first 10,000 people who follow the project and then subsequently back it when it's possible to back it will get a free KeyForge deck. So in addition to whatever other rewards you get for backing, you'll get a free KeyForge deck for having followed it early. Now, they're going to have multiple pledge levels, so this is the only one. But the first pledge level that they've announced is at the $150 level, and it's called Reaper of Amber. And for people who aren't familiar with crowdfunding campaigns, it's very common, very typical to have multiple different pledge levels, and typically a different pledge level will entitle you to different rewards. That makes sense, right? You pay more, you get more. Additionally, it's very common to have backer only rewards, which means that you can access benefits through crowdfunding that you won't be able to access via retail. And I believe that Ghost Galaxy has said they aren't doing the Gamefound campaign through retail. They aren't going to have a store level. So your local game store could back the Gamefound, but they would be doing it just like any of us. Whereas sometimes in crowdfunding campaigns, there's uh, there's an option for a retail store to do a special level. Maybe they get a better deal because they need to be able to make a profit or something like that. So, and then the last thing that's worth noting about uh, crowdfunding campaigns is it's fairly typical for them to have some sort of rewards that unlock as the campaign does better. So, in other words, if you pay $150, you might get better rewards than if you pay $100. But if more people back it, then every level would get better rewards than they would have otherwise. But that not every campaign does that. It depends. So now, okay, so like I said, I'll come back to the overall topic of crowdfunding at the end here, but I want to cover what this $150 gets you. And very prominently displayed, your name here pointing to a deck and a mat. And that is one of the really cool things that they're offering through the crowdfunding campaign that's never before been offered in the history of KeyForge. I should caveat that a little bit. There have been decks that were named after stores, after specific local game stores, and those were given out at Gamma, the games. I don't know. It's a board game industry conference, and they gave out, I believe, a display to every retailer who was there, a display of KeyForge decks with that store's name in the title of every deck, which is really cool. So, for example, Board Crunch got decks that had Board Crunch in the name. I have a deck with Game Castle in the name because that was a retailer that existed in the California, San Francisco Bay Area. So Anyway, but this is the first time that you as an individual, that I as an individual could get my name on a KeyForge deck. And that's pretty cool. And they've talked about, I think it's in the FAQ, what exactly that means. There are some options. There's basically templates where I think you can pick, it'll be one of these templates, but you don't know what it'll say, right? So it might say, zealously awesome aviator in my case, or it could say relentlessly stupid aviator. Who knows? You might feel that way about me. That's okay. Who knows what you'll end up with, but how cool to have your name or your nickname actually displayed, actually in the deck name. That's super cool. That's going to be a Winds of Exchange deck that would happen on. So at the $150 level, you get one deck with your name on it, and that's a 20 character limit. So you get your name in a deck on a deck name. On top of that, you get this mat that's pictured back here. I think they have a better view here. So it would look like this mat. Looks like it'll show all 7 houses from the set and your name on the mat. That's really cool too. I think it's a play mat, so it's not going to be like I don't think it's going to be paper. I think it's going to be, the neoprene. I guess we should double check that. But I can't imagine they'd be doing this on paper. So, and if you've gone and looked at like custom mat printing, that's probably like a $20 to $30 value there, just depending on what you get. Getting it so personalized is more like a $30 value. So you get the personalized playmat, the personalized deck. It's tournament legal. In other words, I mean, you can really play this in an event. That's really cool. On top of that, let me just come back up here. You get a display, 12 decks. So yeah, 12 normal decks. These wouldn't have your name on them. But that's pretty standard. I think, a lot of people who are into the game are going to get 12 decks, right? That's kind of a lot of people are going to be in for that amount. So 12 decks, the free deck that you get for having followed early if you do that, and I think they still have some slots to do that. So 12 decks, your free deck, your named deck, your playmat with a name on it, plus 2 of these 7 playmats that are from featuring art from Winds of Exchange. So, and then that Brobnar creature looks so cool. Like that's intense, unfathomable. Big chain coming is so cool. Got a dino there from Saurians, some kind of Sanctum spellcaster that's super cool looking. This is, I think, the compact of Equidon here. Snails looking, and it's underwater too. That's interesting. It's like a sea snail, so that's kind of interesting. Got Star Alliance here. It looks very Logos-y. That's kind of funny, but that is Star Alliance, definitely not Logos. And then Mars is back, and those are they Blorgs, something like that. So, yeah, cool stuff. So, um, all that for 150. So, is that a good deal? Well, here's what I would say. Um, I think it's a pretty good deal. A set release in the past with decks at $9.99 MSRP or $10 MSRP, a display would be $120. A lot of stores actually, if you like pre-order, would charge $96. That was fairly typical, a 20% discount. So let's imagine that $196 is going to this. Although that's not even really fair because they've upped the MSRP. I think that's in their FAQ. They've upped the MSRP to like $12.99, which makes sense. Inflation. It's plus they're printing in the U.S., which is good for me for sure. Should certainly make the supply chain more manageable, but that's got to increase their costs a little bit. So So it's $12.99 a deck MSRP. So actually, that would mean uh, a display would be like 156 on its own MSRP. So a 20% discount on that would be like math. Math is so hard. Would be like $130, so maybe a little less. So um, anyway, so yeah, so MSRP even with a 20% discount, you'd be looking at something like 130 for the display. So actually, yeah, that $20 more than that, and you get an extra deck with your name on it, which is I don't know if they're ever going to offer that again. That's pretty intense. So that's super cool. So that's really cool. And then two playmats, uh, and then the personalized three playmats total. One of them personalized. So yeah, I think it's actually a really good deal. Um, Now, if you're coming off of the FFG liquidation sale where it was buck a deck, sure, okay, compare to that, and it's a little rough, but that's not a good comparison. so so I think this is actually a pretty great deal. I immediately feel like, okay, yes, I could definitely sign up for this. The question to me is going to be, is there another level that gives better value? So, but this level I think is pretty great, and I'm excited. The personalized deck is just so cool. If you're a KeyForge fan, like, how do you beat that? And honestly, if they throw in like a $20 add-on where you can get more of these, like there are people that are going to do 50 of those, right? Because they're crazy people. But I might do a couple extra, just because getting some extra ones. Plus, for me, like I usually get a deck or two for my daughter as well when a new set comes out. So getting one of those with her name on it would be really cool. Okay, so yeah, I think that's a pretty great deal. Let me just check the FAQ really quick, and maybe they've even added. No, they haven't. So yeah, the retail price $12.99 for a deck. So I was right about that. Um, and you, oh, I guess so. You don't get to pick the blueprint, but you get in one of these blueprints. Who knows what you're gonna end up with? But here, for example, what's in these square braces would be what someone sent them in the pledge manager saying this is what you should put to personalize it for me. And then the whole thing is, what an example of what they could end up with. And yeah, no longer than 20 characters, including spaces, and they're not going to honor, you know, raunchy or offensive stuff. So don't do that. Come on. And then the personalized playmat, it's a full color playmat, matches the Archon artwork. Oh, no way. It's gonna match the deck and houses. Oh, I did not realize that. That's cool. So you actually get a playmat that matches your house. So it's gonna have personalized art. Uh it's not the art that they show here. It's actually going to be the art from the deck that they give you. Oh my gosh, that's crazy cool. I didn't realize that before. That's incredibly cool. So okay, hmm, wow. And you just have to hope it's a good deck. I mean, it's not going to be. Let's be honest. Like you're not the. If I get a personalized deck, it's not going to be a good one. That's sorry, but what can you do? Oh, that's so cool. I did not realize that it would actually match. So cool. Oh, so then they have the whole deck name here, I guess. Ah, that's great. Okay. I mean, if they don't offer like a better way to do it, I could imagine doing two at this level just so I can get the personalized deck and map for my daughter, and then like you know keeping the displays mostly for myself. I guess I'd do it in a separate account so I can get 2 free decks for her. So I think that's reasonable. But yeah, I could imagine doing that just because it'd be a fun gift for her. Okay, so having covered that, I think like I said, I think we have 4 more pledge levels coming out. 2 smaller levels and 2 larger levels. So this is right in the middle. This is the middle level. There's got to be a 1 deck level. Maybe there's a personalized deck level or something like that. Personalized deck and playmat level. And then who knows what's going to be in the bigger one. That could be crazy. I mean, yeah, that's exciting. Oh, there is a rumor that they're going to have the fuzzy Gruen plush or stuffed animal available at some level. So we'll see. Now, okay, having said all that, having covered all that, what about this concept of doing uh, doing kickstarting or not kickstarting, but doing a Gamefound, doing a crowdfunding for KeyForge's relaunch? Um, I think for some people they see this as a negative sign because uh, does it mean that Ghost Galaxy aren't really confident in the product, and are they going to do this every time? One of the key questions is how will this affect retailers? I mean, if they're selling so many decks directly to customers, then isn't that hurting retailers? So here's my thoughts on that. First off, um, if you were around for the initial launch of KeyForge, you might remember it was kind of a mess. They did not print nearly enough. I think they didn't realize that it would be so popular and that people would want to buy multiple decks. So what you ended up with is it was very difficult to find a deck for a while, and then they did a second printing, and then they did a third printing, and I think ultimately that was kind of good because there was some wackiness in the algorithm that actually got tuned in between printings. So my understanding is there are some decks from the first printing that have a weird stuff allowed that probably shouldn't have been. So probably it's good that it was printed in waves like that, but that meant kind of a disaster in terms of actually allowing retailers to have product on shelves to give to people that wanted it. And I'm sure that hurt the growth of the game, right? If people can't get decks, then that's not good. By doing it this way, now you could imagine going the other way, right? That they just print a ton and have everything ready to go. But then if people don't show up, then they're in real financial trouble. So I think this is a nice way to make sure that they have enough for everybody who wants it. Because not only are they going to do the initial launch, but then they're going to have organized play and they are going to be getting product to retailers. So I think this is a good way for them to make sure they have enough at the beginning for everybody who wants it. Hopefully, enough people want it that then they can make the case to retailers, hey, look, we now want to put a lot of this in your hands so you can host events and sell this stuff to these people. So that helps retailers regain confidence that they should carry the product, and it puts them in a good position to be able to run organized play. Now, I don't think they're going to do crowdfunding for set 7. I think they're just going to print and release set 7 through retailers. But there, they'll have an ongoing ecosystem. They'll know how many people are showing up to play Chainbound every week or whatever they have set up. So it won't be such a guessing game. Whereas right now, I think there is a lot of uncertainty about who's coming back. I think we're going to have a great showing, but I can totally understand them having some uncertainty and wanting to make sure that when they launch, they're going to have enough customers to support the product. And the truth is, for certainly for me, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to go to my retailer and I'm going to purchase it there. And Um, and I think retailers have a huge value add to offer through hosting events, and that's also a good point for them to sell their product. Um, so I think this ultimately getting the game back to healthy is a good thing for retailers. It gets them back on the track, and it helps prove to them that this is worth buying some of and selling, and it's worth planning to host events and things like that, as opposed to them just guessing, oh yeah, this looks cool, which is what happened when KeyForge first came out. But I can understand people's lack of confidence at this point. So anyway, I think it's a very good way to do it. I think it's a good move. It allows them to make sure they meet the demand and make a good case to retailers. So I think it's great. I'm excited. It's easy for me to say yes, I would do this pledge level. Um, the question to me is just going to be whether I do like two of it or whether I uh, do a higher pledge level. In other weird news, because I know for some people you're looking, you're like, wow, 150, that's a lot. And I totally get that. Some people are in a tougher position there, and if so, then uh, I hope you have a windfall or something falls your way so that um, you end up in a better position. But for me personally, KeyForge has ended up being almost like revenue neutral in a way because just because of being able to sell decks on the secondary market, and sometimes I found some deals where people are selling some bulk. So I think if you look around, do things like that, you can come out in not too bad a shape. But I totally get if you're not in that situation. If this is tough, then you might be looking at going, oh my gosh, 150, I can't do that. And if so, then um, yeah, I get it, and I hope you are able to enjoy the game at whatever level you can. But for if you can do it, I think 150 is a pretty good value here, and I think this is good for the game. So okay, that's it. Like I said, I'll have a link to this in the description, and hope that you follow early so you can get that extra free deck, and I hope that you'll stick around and enjoy the next set of KeyForge. Thanks.